Hi everyone, my name is Holly Hiley. We're back for week 5. This week we were taking a look at chapter 6, studying consumer behavior, and this week's case features Nike. So we'll jump right into question 1. Question 1 says that this chapter highlights how marketing efforts are different between business to business and business to consumer firms. As Nike and other manufacturers continue to expand into business-to-consumer channels, what are some differences in business-to-consumer and business-to-business behavior that might affect Nike's approach to these channels? So, one difference that might affect Nike's approach to these channels is that the decision-making time between the two markets is very different. In the business-to-consumer market, customers experience shorter decision-making process time and can make decisions on the fly and extremely fast. In business-to-business markets, there is a much longer and more complicated decision-making process. This is due to formalities and procedures that are usually established within companies for making purchases, and this typically involves many more individuals in the business-to-business decision-making as compared to a single consumer in business-to-consumer markets. So in order to take advantage of this shorter decision-making time in business-to-consumer markets, Nike should definitely focus their marketing efforts to capture customer attention immediately and quickly, because consumers are going to make decisions on whether to purchase or not purchase a product very fast. Relationships with customers is another difference between business to consumer and business to business markets. In business to consumer markets, the relationship that companies have with their customers is very impersonal and typically only happens online. In business to business markets, however, there is a much more personal relationship that can be cultivated and should be cultivated, because these relationships are very significant to the sale of their products to other businesses. This was according to the Journal of Business Market Management. It highlights that Nike should probably focus on cultivating personal and valuable relationships with not only business customers, but also just consumer customers, because they can build value for future sales and also referrals. Question 2 in the case says, what are some hurdles that Nike may face as it expands its business to consumer business? So one thing that Nike needs to consider are their technology needs as they expand this business to consumer business. Typically, a lot of this type of purchasing in this channel is done through e-commerce. So a strong e-commerce capability will be necessary in order to expand at the rate that they want to. As highlighted by the case, they want to improve their e-commerce by nearly 7 times. So it will be really important that their technology infrastructure can support this type of expansion. This also comes with associated cybersecurity concerns and risks as well. Another hurdle that Nike will face is related to warehouse operations. Selling more straight to consumers will increase the need for picking, packaging, shipping, restocking, and even the storage of products in their warehouses. So this will put a strain on their warehouse operations, because more customers buy smaller quantities in business to consumer markets. Nike needs to ensure that they have the staffing and capabilities to address these new concerns of the packaging, shipping, restocking, and storage of all these products. And the last question in the case says, What would be some negative consequences to consumers if all manufacturers only sold business to consumer and eliminated wholesaler distributors who supply retail stores? One negative consequence to consumers if manufacturers only sold business to consumer would be that consumers will experience increased difficulty accessing goods. Wholesalers help offer products to wider geographical areas. They hold products all over the nation and all over the world for different businesses. And without these wholesalers, it will be the responsibility of the business to ensure that they market and distribute products to customers all over the world rather than depending on wholesalers to distribute their products. Another negative consequence would be that consumers may experience increased product pricing. Transportation and shipping costs, marketing costs, and storage costs will all be affecting consumers because of their buying behavior. Because in business to consumer markets, the customers purchase smaller quantities. If businesses are tasked with the transportation and shipping costs, marketing costs, and the storage costs of all these products now, rather than wholesalers tackling these activities, it will now be the business responsibility, and these costs will unfortunately be passed along to consumers in per unit price because many of these are fixed costs and cannot be spread among more units purchased. And that's all for this case. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to your questions.